Welcome to episode 5 of the Nucleus podcast, where we interview friends, bandmates, and discuss all things music. In this episode, I, Jaden Walker, will be interviewing Triangle Fight's guitarist and lead vocalist Paulo Gonzalez.
Hey!
And welcome to the show. And sorry if I mispronounced your surname.
That's everyone does.
Yep.
It's one of those things. I just sort of collect different pronunciations.
Yeah,
of my name.
What's the best one you've had that's furthest from it?
I get called polio by old people.
Polio.
Yeah, it's Paulo. The O throws them off, and they just go for the they just reach in their data bank of words that they know, which is usually about 1,000 words, and polio is one of them. No, it's not that bad. Yeah, I get called a whole bunch of stuff though. A lot of people insist that they call me Paulo with an accent. They're like, how do your parents say your name at home? Do they say Paulo? And so I get there's a random bunch of people out there that insist on addressing me with an accent, and that's pretty cool.
Oh, you should just trick them and just be like, "Hi, it's Paulo."
Paulo.
Yeah. Well, I've got some questions I want to shoot your way.
Right.
So, the first one I've got here is, who inspired you to pick up your first instrument? Take me back.
It was probably when I was about 12 and I wanted to get female attention.
Yeah. That sounds familiar.
But I just saw my brother, he picked up guitar first, really, and then he moved on to bass, and I was like, how about if I play guitar and you play bass and we join and we play in a band together? And, up until this day we're still playing music together. But yeah, really that's what it is. I wasn't a huge music fan to begin with. It was mainly my brother, and I was just copying him, as annoying little brothers do, yeah.
Oh, wow. So as opposed to maybe a certain band that inspired you to get into it, it was probably more your brother's influence, you'd say?
It was. I don't know what I'd be into if it wasn't for him opening the doors to sort of rock and roll and that type of thing, because it's one of those things that, when I was a kid anyway, there weren't many kids into rock. They were all into just top 100 radio, and around the 90s, it wasn't that cool until Nirvana came along, and even then, kids my age still weren't into it. That was more for the older kids. So
yeah, yeah, true.
But yeah, I mean, early bands that I really got into were Spiderbait, Regurgitator. Oh, yeah. I love the boldness, and just. Yeah, it sounded really cool to me back then. I was like, damn, this is way better than Venga Boys. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then when did Triangle Fight get started, and how did that all come about?
It's pretty interesting, actually. I mean, since high school, I've been in a whole bunch of bands.
Yeah.
I went to Japan for a couple of years, and I stopped playing in bands, naturally, because, for a whole bunch of reasons, but... coming back to Perth after living in Japan, I was like, wow, I haven't played in bands for a while, and maybe I'll just stop. Maybe this is it for me. This is where I stop making music and I start growing up and acting like an adult. And for about 6 months, I didn't play any music, and I started getting really depressed, and everything. My life started turning to crap. And I was like, screw it, I just have to start making music again. It was one of those things that, it was so ingrained in me. It's one of those things that you need.
Yeah.
And as soon as I started a band again, we wrote just a crap load of music and toured it 6 months later. And it was one of the most intense experiences, but it just solidified that I need music, and Triangle Fight came out of necessity, really, for me. I just have to I have to be making something, otherwise I won't be sane.
Yeah, it's almost like that creative energy just builds up, and if you don't convert it into creative stuff, it morphs into negativity.
Exactly. For sure. Like so much about like my self-esteem was just like based on the fact that I can make music and I can make people happy. And that was such a deep part of my identity. Like when I travelled overseas, my identity changed because I was a teacher. I was a different person. But coming back to Australia, I was, I realised, hey, I'm still the old me. Like that was just like a little costume I was wearing for a while. But this is truly who I am. Yeah. Yeah,
it's weird how the music really does begin to define you, especially when you've been doing it for so long. And you think if people will ask you the question, what would you be doing if you weren't doing music? And it's like, well, I couldn't imagine what I'd be doing because that wouldn't be me.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. Now I panic. If I think of not playing music, I panic. I mean, it's something this is my coping mechanism for life. This is how I express myself. So, yeah. I don't know how to do it any other way.
Yeah, it's such a powerful outlet, and all things creative. I mean, you obviously do a lot of film-orientated stuff for your band, and I was interested to ask you about that as far as, say, for your Blood Giant album EP type release, it was basically almost a score to a movie. I mean, was it the chicken before the egg? Was it the score before the music? The movie before the score? Like that was that would have been. I
guess the story behind that is that something happened, and that really shook us all up in the band, and we kind of decided to deal with it by creating a story that's based on it, without talking about it directly. So yeah, the story came first. But the way the creative process worked is that it was mainly Sophia and I. We sort of sat down and we mapped out just like the structure of the narrative, and we broke it into like 10 songs or 12 songs. And
at that point, were the songs written?
Some of them were were just. There's a couple songs which maybe are some old ideas. You know how you use bits and pieces from like leftover songs that you never used properly? Yeah, there was a bit of that, and there was some like total innovation that we didn't even realise would be in the album at the end. Like there's one song that is made entirely from just samples of Alex Kidd in Miracle World. The game.
Is that a TV show? A game?
Yeah, it's a game. It's a built-in game of the Sega Master System too. For those of you out there whose dads were too stingy to buy you the Mega Drive or NES. Yeah. No, it's a sick little game. But I mean, it had like a lot of symbolism and meaning for that little tune, and I got the source code of the game, and I ran it through VLC Player, which has a whole bunch of translating software, which was able to give me like the most pure samples that I could rip from the game. So it's not just like it's not just nicked. Anyway, I'm getting into the details of it, but essentially, we had the idea first, and then we just wrote around it, and it was like a really interesting and unique way of writing songs. I miss it actually because now I'm just writing stuff the old-fashioned way. I'm just thinking about stuff that makes me feel crap and
it's almost like 2D now.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
You were doing a 3D experience. Really, you were doing the music and visual symbolism as well as.
Yes.
The whole storyline as well. It would have been quite an undertaking, I bet. I mean, I was lucky enough to go to that was the premiere, wasn't it, at the cinemas?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
watch it, and that was
great. That was a great night. No, I mean it was a strange night. I mean, when you're organising an event like this, you're just thinking about everything, all the logistics of it. And then I sat down and the music started and the video started, and I just felt like this wave of emotion come over me because it was the first time during the whole thing, during the whole production, where I could actually sit down and go, okay, it's done, and I'm now watching it and enjoying it. It was crazy. It was the most.
Would have been a huge relief, I bet. I mean, you've got, when you're editing video, you're not really watching it. You're watching it on a different level, aren't you?
Yes.
You're watching the code of it, almost like the Matrix. You're not enjoying it at all.
And I find, you may find this as well. Like with editing, it's not the most positive experience. It's like it's like you're turd polishing. It's a constant thing of like refinement. So you just have to be looking at it with a critical eye, over and over and over again.
And it's the worst way to look at stuff you've created, but unfortunately, as creators, that's just all we can do. Is just essentially look at it through the worst possible lens, the most negative.
And that's a crappy thing about being a jack of all trades. Like, if you come across editors or people who are mastering engineers, they're not the most creative people. They're people that just they're very technically minded, and they live in that realm.
That's right.
So I'd love to be in the place where one day I can just be artistic and let someone else take care of all the mixing and editing and crap like that.
Oh, I reckon. Like you need to. If you were to try and do it all, you would definitely have to. Almost put on a mask or a different hat. You'd put on the musician hat, take that off, and then the next day you'd put on the mix engineer's hat, and it's a totally different process and mind space you've got to be in for that.
Yeah, personally, I hate it when I have to switch from doing music to video, because they're very different things, and I can't just like at the moment I've just finished writing a bunch of music for the new album, and the idea of going back to video is just so heartbreaking.
Especially because
back into that zone.
You did the 5. You did the album, The Blood Giant, and then you did a single. And you did a music video for that as well, which was a bit more of a traditional music video. It wasn't a running story through it all. But that was still, a big undertaking, especially for you to shoot it and then edit it. And it was a quick turnaround on that whole project, I noticed. That was out in the public domain pretty quickly. Yeah.
It's like when you're busy, sometimes that's when you can do the most work.
The most magic,
Yeah. But coming to, like, now that time has passed, I wish I took a bit more time with it, really. We kind of were trying a few different strategies of how to make music, and one of those strategies was like, hey, let's release singles. And so by the time we got it ready and everything, and Facebook's algorithm just wasn't favouring it, no matter what we did. We put hundreds of dollars into it, and it just wasn't sending it out to people. And we just didn't know where to go from there. So I just kind of wish we took more time on production and building up.
Well, it's
more
really hard.
Promotion.
It's hard with that sort of promotional side of it. We've had similar experiences, and it'll pick off, like it'll take off on some platforms, but then it will basically tank on others. We've just learnt that. It's a roll of the dice, and that quantity over quality can sometimes be your friend in that regard, as far as just trying to get as much stuff out, which has been our attempt lately. We've just been trying to put as much out as we can, because sometimes, you put a lot of effort into a baby project and it'll flop, and it's nothing to do with the quality. It's just the luck of the draw. So,
and it's a bit heartbreaking to know that a lot of this is, sometimes it's going to be a total waste of your time. Sometimes, I hate that. That's a part of it I hate, because since the music's been digitized and shared, since Napster, basically the value of music has changed. It's become a lot cheaper, and it's more about the lifestyle that you can offer a listener. It's like the branding that you can be associated with. That's what people want.
Yeah, and it's because of that. It's your music almost has a very short shelf life if it was in a physical form. But it's like you put it online, and it's as disposable as it can be. People don't really respect it because it's free to them in a way, and it doesn't exist to them in a physical thing. So, it's it only can circulate for so many weeks, and then it just goes to the bottom of the pile of the thousands of other songs that got released that day in your genre, and it's just
actually
it can be a bit rough.
There's an audio book that I just listened to, and it does, and this is only in the last month or so, and it's totally changed my perspective. It's called The 4D Songwriter. It's by this this Australian guy, and he just he goes into all that type of stuff. Like, it's hard to talk about it because there's so much in it, but by the end of it, I had this new perspective of how to approach it. You know, I was kind of going in blind before. I'm just like, all right, so you make a gig, you invite all your mates, and then you probably send it to Triple J, and you know everyone's trying the same thing, but you don't know what the hell is going on because everything is about virality and trending. Yeah, so it's just really you have to approach it from a modern way. You have to understand the environment to be able to be effective. Otherwise, it's
that's it.
Pure luck or you're just wasting your time, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's the hardest part. I guess that's why they say you need to love it, because sometimes you might do something for technically no reason at all, but if you enjoyed it, which we obviously all do, then it wasn't for nothing. But, it still all costs money, as you know, and there's never much return, and all you can hope for is that you didn't burn too much of a bigger hole in your pocketbook. But
yeah, exactly.
There's never really much return on it.
Yeah, I just came back from a $250 shopping trip. Just buying a noise gate and some guitar hooks. Yeah, it's just the life.
And everyone in the crowd will be like, "That show was so much better because of that noise gate, mate."
Yeah. It all adds up, man. It all adds up.
Yeah, that's right. It's like in my field of photography, I bought a new camera and no one noticed, and I was like, "This cost me a couple of $1,000s." But it's the same with music. It's like we try every song we release, we do something a bit better, or we spend a bit more money on something, and we get the same results. So we've become very stingy with our money now, and we've been trying to do it as cheap as possible.
Yeah. Luckily, I reckon you really should check out the 4D Songwriter. You'd love it, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely. Because it covers all this stuff that like knowing you personally, that you would be bothered doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm a bit full on. Like,
you're really hands on. That's awesome. Like, I just sit back and wait for everyone to adore me. Sorry.
If I get into something, whether it be whatever it is, painting or whatever hobby it is, I'm just like balls to the walls. Like, I never just do something vague. Like, if I'm going to play a PlayStation game as an example, I'm not just going to play a little bit of it every now and then. I'll be researching it. I'll be doing everything involved. And the same with music, and I get way too deep into things. So I'd love that. And me and Max we'll just talk for hours about that kind of stuff. It drives our partners mad. When we catch up for like a dinner, all we'll talk about is band stuff, and they're like, "Are you serious? Can we talk about something?" I remember
years ago at uni, you used to even talk about that. Just like you'd be part of most of your band practice is strategizing, and trying to work out how to crack it.
How to crack that. It's funny. There's so many theories out there, and in this day and age, those theories can come and go. They almost go out of date so quickly, and everyone's talking about TikTok now being a great way to reach that younger audience, because none of them are on the other social platforms. And you see a few bands I've started seeing starting TikTok accounts. And I've been told that a lot, but like, I think my dignity doesn't allow me to do that. Yeah, you don't want to reach those 14-year-olds anyway, would you?
Anyway, if it doesn't work, that means you've been on TikTok. You know what I mean? Like if you put all this effort, you're like, hey guys, like check it out, and you've got like 100
check
little
out me
clips.
in the studios.
And forever, that's like that can't be undone. That didn't make you popular, but you put all this energy into TikTok. Yeah, but I mean,
maybe just write a new song instead about TikTok, and maybe let the kids share it on TikTok. That might be a strategy.
Oh yeah, if you can write a song that can trend on TikTok, then you're sorted.
Yeah. Maybe it's just a TikTok dance song you could do, like ironic one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I've got another question here I wanted to ask, and it's kind of about how you would go about your creative process. Like, what's it like, but in the realm of music? Like, how do you start a song? Like, do you get the ball rolling, or is it a team effort in the rehearsal room, or how do you guys start a song?
I think as time's passed, it's kind of like I come up with the egg, and then and then we just watch it hatch in the band room, and we all work on it and change it around, and give it all its herbs and spices together.
Yep. So you make the egg, and they cook it.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. Or the skeleton. That's what I usually call it, the skeleton of the song.
So you bring in the fetus.
They put the meat and bones. They put the dick and tits on it.
Yeah. So do you guys find, like, you guys have had the same lineup for a long time, I've noticed. So you've obviously built quite a relationship there, and you all sort of know how it all works, I guess. You guys will be a well-oiled machine in that.
Yeah. And sometimes we have to stop and appreciate that, because we have very... our personalities all fit together really well just by chance. It's like, and you know what it can be like, being in a band room can be pretty intense if you have like, two people who like to call the shots, for example, or if you have no one that wants to contribute ideas, or if you have someone who likes to stop every 2 seconds to have a political debate or something like that. I mean, we just happen to be like really, really similar. Like we're all just chilled out. We all just, we just love to jam. Really. We love each other's company, and we love the occasional penis joke, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to find a unit of people that you can get along with on a personal level, but also like Triangle Fight isn't what you'd call standard music. I mean, it's quite out there, and to find enough people that are into that as well, and to be all able to get on board, it's a small percentage of the population there.
That's true. But these days, especially when it sounds really corny, but I try to write with love. I try to write in a way that like my band members are going to feel proud of playing this. They're going to enjoy their part. It's going to make them feel awesome about being in this band.
I get that.
It's really something that I put into the recipe when I'm starting a song. And
they're there with you in spirit almost when you're writing. I used to have that as well. I'd be sitting on my own writing some parts.
Yeah. Well,
and I'd be
I can imagine them
what
playing
they would say.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can almost imagine what they would contribute because you kind of know them so well. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I mean, one of the band members happening to be your brother. How has that been? Have you guys, I mean, I would probably find that I'd get into rows with my brother in a band, but how have you guys been? Any funny stories there?
Well, it all started from a very, very young age. Like my brother and I were forbidden to have fights, to argue with each other or fights. Yeah, we were absolutely forbidden to do that. It's like, he's your fucking brother, love him, and have his back. That's kind of how we were brought up, and you know what, it just worked. I mean, there was a point where it just kind of clicked, and we're just like, hey, we just happen to be really good mates now because of that. So I'm grateful to my parents for that type of upbringing. But
yeah, that's amazing.
But yeah, I mean, like we're two very different people. We have two very different approaches to music, but I think there's that respect and that patience and the communication shorthand that we have. So if there are issues, we can actually we can talk to each other in a way that the other person is going to understand and want to, quite easily put their ego behind them for the sake of someone else's concern or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so no telekinesis or anything like that? You guys are just...
No, but we have a good... I think of all the people I've ever played with, me and him lock in together. Really good, like really well musically, or rhythmically. Yeah.
I mean, you
like
can see
to get a second guitarist in this band was such a painful decision for me. I was like, I couldn't imagine it, you know. But fortunately, Dan kicks ass. Like he really fits in with the band and with our type of with our rhythm, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, a few of the guys and girls are WAPA students. How many of them are WAPA? Just the one?
Oh, I don't think any of us are WAPA students.
I thought your drummer was I'm just judging off the grips that she was using. She's a bit more jazz grippy looking. I just assumed it was.
I think she learned. Sophia, you learned jazz first, yeah?
Sort of.
Did you learn drums at WAPA?
No.
Okay, no, she didn't.
No, so you guys are all OG. You're all self-taught then.
Yeah. So no, I mean
self-taught. So you're all just your standard OG. There's no.
We're all just bedroom guitarists and drummers. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So there's no music nerds then.
Yeah.
in the book sense, anyway.
What was that? Sorry, could you repeat that?
There's no nerds in the book sense as far as reading music and stuff like that.
No, not really. I'd say the one that understands the most music theory would be Dan, but he just enjoys going along with the ride. He doesn't he's not the type that would kind of go, well, actually, you know. Yeah. Yeah, he kind of just enjoys going with it. We write music so it's fun to play live. I think that's one of our main things as well, that we can you can still thrash around and still be able to, you know, play it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you say it would be easy to play live, but a lot of your stuff is still, it might be easy for you guys, but it comes across as quite a handful, especially with the bass keeping up. And the bass definitely doesn't chicken out on a lot of those runs.
Yeah, that's just Martin,
locked
though.
in.
Yeah. For him, it's a challenge to his manhood, you know. Anytime I come up with a bass line, he's like, no, I've got to get it. I got to nail this. Like he was recording bass the other week, and I told him that Dan had like learnt this guitar part in one night, and he's like, okay, that's it. I'm going to do it too.
But I'm going to play it twice as fast. Yeah.
No, he really loves the challenge. Any challenge of playing bass, he gets right into that.
Yeah, and he's on the Rickenbacker lately, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you, what if you had to choose between two brands, Fender or Gibson, what would you go for?
I'd say definitely Fender. For me,
because you've been playing a telly, weren't you? I think.
Yeah, I've been playing a telly, and I switched over to like a Yamaha for a little bit, and I'm back on the telly again. But I've got a thing with, I guess, with my style of playing and the amps that I've always played through. Gibsons have like a very hot sound, a very hot signal that comes through. So it's kind of hard to be dynamic, and I'm a very dynamic player. I like to have a distorted sound, but if I play light, I want it to come through kind of clean. And when I lay into it, I don't want it to be overtaken with just like the fuzz of distortion, or you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain, but I like a sound that it sounds like more like me.
Yeah, definitely.
Than the guitar. Yeah.
Fenders have a lot more slap and snap.
Yeah. Yep.
I feel anyway. If you could collaborate with any artist in the world, who would it be?
Ooh. I've just like rediscovered Queens of the Stone Age this last month.
Oh, yeah?
And I've been watching some of their later live shows, and these dudes have just matured like a fine wine. And it is like, it's the most solid, cleanest, most sexiest fucking music I've ever heard. And I'm just like,
I'm gonna
damn.
have to revisit it too, I think.
Yeah. If you just do like Queens of the Stone Age live, their top one, well, the one that comes up for me anyway, I just watch that every now and then. I'm just like, damn. Oh,
so they can pull it off live really well.
Yeah, they got this swagger. They've got this sound that it doesn't sound like they're experimenting anymore. It just sounds like they're expressing, and they're really they've got this mature, like real cool swagger to their sound that I'm just like, damn, I'd love to get some pointers from that dude.
Yeah, wow. So if you could open a show for anyone, would it be them?
Nah,
would Triangle 5 be a good fit?
Nah, definitely. If I was to open for a band, it would be RX Bandits. That's the band where I've like pretty much learned everything I know about music. That's to me that's just ear drugs. Yeah, that's all. Ear drugs. It's like they're really they're very progressive, but they're not boring at all. And you just hear the love of the music. You hear that the way that the musicians kind of interact with each other is just like, like what the hell? It just sounds so good. The first time I heard them, I was just like, I had to stand up in my seat and go, what the fuck am I listening to? And they have a couple of early albums. Don't bother with those.
No.
You start with this album called the Resignation, and you just go forward from there. Yeah.
RX Bandits, eh?
Yeah, RX Bandits. I even got a little tattoo of them just to...
Wow. Well, they must be good. I definitely will be checking them out then.
Yeah. I'm a total fanboy. Even if they write shit music now, I'm still going to be fanboy.
You'll find a way to appreciate it, won't you?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I feel. When they're a band you love.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the most useless talent that you have?
Useful?
Useless.
Useless? Oh, shit. Man, I've got lots of those. I don't know. Look, I've got a really severe ADHD. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it gives me like an ability to process certain things really quickly.
Oh yeah.
And it's like it's a bit of a curse because it's one of those situations where this society is not really built for people like me. So I have to medicate, and I fucking hate it because it changes who I am. It takes away the fun of life. But I'd say, that's one of my most useless talents is being able to. I don't know. It's not actually. That's just like a humble brag, really.
Well, I reckon a lot of musicians are, and I think, like diagnosed or not, I think they are, and I even feel like sometimes I'm a bit ADHD because, like I was saying, mate, when I get into something,
with all the stuff that you can achieve, you're not. No,
well, I'm a full-time procrastinator, but I can get tunnel vision on things, but it's never the things I should be focusing on.
I don't know. Look, I mean, for anyone listening out there, because like I hear this all the time when people go, "Yeah, I think I might have ADHD."
What's it for you? Yeah,
for me, it's like imagine having a job where you have to just do something simple like data entry, and you supposedly you can just like sit there and punch in numbers and be like, "All right, clock watching," the usual stuff. If it feels like there's like fucking lava pouring down your back, and you just want to scream because like. The boringness of the job and like you wanting to do other stuff is so it's like painful to not do it. That's kind of like what it feels like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's weird because the day I got medicated, I was like, holy shit, I got to study. I got to study now. I got to get a degree in something so I can make a life for myself. And that really helps. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It changed my life. Otherwise, I'd still.
And how old were you when you got diagnosed?
I was about maybe close to 30, I think.
Oh, bugger. So your schooling would have been, your normal schooling would have been a write-off nearly.
Yeah, I was just like from year 1 all the way through the year 12, I was a class clown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun at all. And
since you got diagnosed and you got on track with that, you went and did your degree in audio. Was that was after, yeah?
Yeah, that was after, maybe a couple years after. And I absolutely loved it, being able to read a book. Oh, man, just being able to read
something
a
you
book.
Enjoy. Yeah. I mean, music's a good subject to learn about, especially when you're going to have to. It's like it becomes your job in a way, and it's all of a sudden you get to do what you want to do. And Yeah, it's a
But
good thing
I mean,
to learn.
it did help me with music because I write music that I don't think is boring for me. It's
definitely it's depthy. It's very depthy.
Yeah, I try to make it as engaging as possible.
Yeah.
That's a thing for me. Like I really hate listening to music and just kind of going, oh crap, yeah, I'm over it now, you know.
Yeah.
Or
I get what you mean there,
getting
because-
bored during listening to music is the worst thing.
Yeah, and I mean you've got you need a lot to keep interested in stuff, and you write music that caters to that in a way almost.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you write music ideally that you'd want to be listening to.
And you don't want to write boring music. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what I consider boring. I think some people are exceptionally good at quote unquote boring music. You know what I mean? Like
like simple stuff that somehow.
Yeah, like I'm a huge fan of the Shins. Have you heard of the Shins?
No.
Holy shit! Like that dude can write, and like you and I were talking ages ago about Paul Kelly. Like, what a fucking incredible songwriter he is.
Yeah, he's just got the knack for it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I
where
mean,
to start with him.
But the thing is, I'm not that musically educated, so I'm just doing the best I can. You know, I probably wouldn't be able to find those like chord progressions, those really rare ones that come once in a lifetime that can change the world. But at least I'll give you little bits and pieces.
I think if you were musically educated, then you'd just be doing what all the musically educated people were doing. Whereas not knowing what you should be doing, you're thinking outside the box without even trying, and finding
that's true.
Different
I was just talking about that with Sophia this morning because we've.
I think it's what you need, especially in heavy metal. Heavy metal people it'd be very rare to have a heavy metal person in a band that is classically trained and knows all their theory. Right. And I think that's why like a lot of metal bands are always doing the most weird out there stuff because they don't have a clue if they're meant to be doing it or not. And there's always
I think you nailed it, man. You nailed it. That's the essence. That's the mother of invention, or rather innovation.
Happy accidents is
hell yeah. So like, I mean, part of me is like, I want to learn about music theory. I want to learn some chord theory and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm kind of afraid that it'll become... Because, I mean, have you heard like a WAPA band play? It's impressive, but it's just like, after a while, it's just like...
a dozen.
Yeah, it's just like you get sick of hearing people masturbate, you know?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they're sort of showing off to people that understand the theory. They're like jumping from scales and chords and... Yeah, I mean, to me, I recently have delved into music theory, but for me it wasn't. It was learning my real basic theory. Like you might even wouldn't classify this as theory, but I've just been learning my scales. That's what I've been learning. And that's how basic of a music education I've had. Absolutely nothing. What taught me music was tabs. Ultimate guitar tabs, and that's far from anything to do with theory. That's just put your finger in.
Likewise.
But you pick up patterns and you do things that are obviously theory based, but you've learnt via your ear as opposed to reading it on paper.
Exactly.
It's a different sort of mind. Yeah, I think it's the best way to go though. All the most creative people that I know haven't gone through a music school. Yeah,
mind you, you do get those freaks, right? Like the Beatles, where they were proper like quote unquote musicians.
Yeah.
And then they just made these songs that were like, it was like written by the hands of the gods. You know what I mean?
Do you think it was the drugs that they were taking that helped them forget all the theory, and that's why it was good?
I mean, you're probably not far off, man. Honestly.
They're like, these songs sound very normal. Let's get some drugs and forget everything we know about music and then write something.
Yeah, but they had that weapon of all that knowledge. So they can choose to forget it and it will just be instinctive then, you know?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, what do you think you'd be doing right now if it wasn't for music? I mean, we talked about this at the start, and how you're saying it would be scary to think about a life without music.
I'd be probably doing something artistic. I mean, I always enjoyed drawing and visual stuff, but
yeah. Because you're pretty handy on a camera and on an editing station. Obviously, film would be your second creative outlet.
I guess I might be doing like editing or something to do with film. But even then, like I'm the only person in my entire family on my dad's side that isn't in the construction, drafting, architecture industry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm like the only one. I've broken the link.
Oh.
Like my dad was a draftsman from the age of 16. He was at a drawing desk, and my dad, my brother is a draftsman, and all my cousins are doing stuff like they're all
so you're breaking the mold,
architects
then.
and engineers. Yeah.
Who needs money?
So who knows? I might have done that. I might have just said, "Screw this! I'm going to go to TAFE and do tech drawing," as I used to call it.
Yeah. Well, that's right. We some people follow their parents on a straight line, and some people just do the absolute opposite.
Yeah,
it's funny how that happens.
Yeah.
I think I did I've done pretty much followed my parents' steps in a way. Anyway, my dad was a muso, so
that's cool though. That's cool having that upbringing.
Yeah, well, it's good because they understand. At least when I'm like, "Hey, Dad, I'm fucking struggling. I can't buy this new thing." Yeah. Like, "Oh, well, here, I hope you get it." And because he understands music, it's not like you're just asking someone that doesn't know anything about music. You're like, "So I need to buy this new guitar pedal, and it's a noise gate, you see, and I need it." And a normal person would go, "Well, why do you need it? You haven't needed it yet. Why do you need it now?" But like, at least my dad would go, "Oh, fucking oath! You don't have a noise gate. You busted it. Yeah, make sure."
It's the opposite for my old man. Hey, once he was cleaning out the house and he saw that the neck was not on a guitar, so he threw out the neck and the guitar because he's like, "Oh, it's broken." And me and Mum were like, "Dad, what the fuck?"
Oh no!
He had no clue. Did not give a shit either. But like, it's one of those things. Or like going to a concert, it's like, "Hey, Dad, you know that band that I've been like wearing T-shirts of and covering my room with posters of, and like singing every single day and playing music of? They're playing in Perth, and this is like probably the only time they'll ever play in Perth. Can you please give me $20 so I can go watch them?" And he's like, "Nah, don't worry about it."
$20. Bugger that. Well, I dragged my dad along to my first concert because it was an underage one, but I couldn't get there on my own, and it was for Machine Head and Trivium. And
holy shit, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, and he drove me up from Esperance, so it was an 8-hour drive.
Was that the 10-Ton Hammer tour?
It was the Black Crusade tour. So it was the Blackening from Machine Head, it was the Crusade from Trivium, and it was Hand of Blood for Arch Enemy. They were the 3 albums. But yeah, and he was standing in the crowd, and then it erupted. He was getting pushed around, and he had to get out of there. But he enjoyed it. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Meanwhile, I was up the front, just fanboying over Matt Heafy, just tears in my eyes. I was that obsessed with him. I just couldn't believe I was that close to him. Well, I got one last question for you.
Sure, man.
And it is, what is your favourite venue in Perth and your least favourite venue in Perth? Well, or more just venues you've played, maybe a horror story of like the worst venue.
All right. Okay. That's a good question, actually. There's a few venues that are no longer existent that used to be my favourite, like the Heidi. Okay, well, in terms of my least favourite, and this might bite me in the ass later, but it's only my least favourite when like you can't pull a crowd, and it's the most depressing feeling to play a show there, and that's 459.
Oh, yeah.
And for some reason, people don't really seem interested. It's like, "Hey, do you want to come see my band play at 459? It's like, Mwah. And then you just play in front of a couple barflies and the other bands, and Yeah. I mean, we've played some cracking shows there, but like there's been one or two where it's like, oh, is this really where it's come to? Yeah. But it's probably my favorite is like the Rosemount.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's comparable to amps, but with amps, it's great because you've got that awesome beer garden that's right next to the band room, and you get all these extra you get all this extra crowd from like the club scene and stuff. So you get lots of people just coming through the door. But like when you have a great show at the Rosemount, it feels fucking amazing. Yeah.
Well, maybe leave us with a question I forgot to ask was the best advice you've been given, like relating to music. Maybe it's something out of that 4D Songwriters book. What's the best advice you've been given?
The best advice is to really find a way. Oh, okay. Well, it's two things that go hand in hand that will make things work out. Essentially, firstly, put yourself into your music as much as you can. You know, be as honest as possible. Like, open yourself up. Really, really put yourself into the music. And there's a lot that comes with that, but being totally genuine, not being afraid of what your peers are going to say. And I think in the metal industry, like in the metal scene, it seems like it's a little bit competitive, a little bit bitchy sometimes. That's what I've witnessed anyway. But like, you know, don't give a shit about any of that. Just write exactly what you want to hear, and fuck everyone else. And that'll come across as like this confidence that's truly infectious, and people will love that. And also figure out who your fans are. In this day and age, you have to find out who they are. You gotta like check out your analytics, really dig deep, find out if if they have all these certain things in common. Then that's what that's what you can narrow down on. That's what you can double down on when it comes to like paying for advertising and stuff. And you have to give them, the details of like profiles of people. People that that you want to be exposing your stuff to. Yeah, you got to really work out who they are, who the real fans are. Like, forget all your mates; they don't count. It's got to be the people that actually went out of their way, strangers that have started dedicating themselves to listening to you.
That's right. You got to really make sure you got your target audience sort of defined, and
yes, but like as defined as possible, and keep defining it. Yeah, that's all I can say. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's an awesome bit of advice, actually, especially coming across honest. I think that is really important. I think that gets forgotten about way too often with newer bands following current trends and just trying to basically be the next clone copy of whoever's popular at the time.
That's right.
I think that is really important.
Yeah, I mean the path that they took to get there is totally different to yours. I mean,
that's right.
You can't just copy them and expect the same thing.
That's right.
No, it's unreasonable.
Well, thanks for having a chat with me today. This has been awesome.
No worries, man. Thanks for having me.
No, this has been great. This has been really good. And I just wanted to give you a chance to maybe, let anyone know if you guys have got something coming up. I know Corona's got shows down the road.
I might as well. Like, I'm going to be like whoring this event off as the next 2 months pass. But we have a album that we're releasing. This is the very first time I'm announcing it. It's on December 19th at Rechabite, the basement. It's Goodwill Club. Yeah, that's what it's called. Goodwill Club. December 19th. Our album, which is called Skeleton Songs, is being released.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a few really crazy surprises, so that is a night that you should not miss. And we're going to be playing with some fucking awesome bands that I can't remember right now, but I just remember that we had to like shut up. we had to dig pretty hard to to convince them to play with us. But look, it's going to be a crazy fun night.
I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Yeah,
really.
Man.
I'll be there.
Yeah,
I'll be there with bells on.
Yeah, and I'll be putting you on the door, my friend.
Oh, good. I'll come down and chew some other people's ears off.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in. And thank you, Paulo. Everyone make sure you get down to the album launch That's going to be awesome. And until next time, stay metal, stay safe.
Yeah, man.
Peace out.
Bye.